Again, thank you everybody for being here today, especially on a Sunday. As you know, yesterday Danny and I met, which I informed him that I was going to make a change in the leadership with his program at the time. Yesterday was a tough day. Danny is somebody who I truly care for, I respect for, not just personally but professionally. He's put a lot of work into our program, and this program's a better place today because of his passion and his love for this institution. I want to take a moment to say thank you to our student athletes, our coaches, their families, and in particular, Danny, Sandra, and his family. There's a lot that goes into being a coach, being a student athlete at this level, and it's hard. It's a hard business, and I want to say thank you to them and wish them all the best. I truly do. My goal is and always is to make the right decision regardless of how tough or challenging it may be. At the end of the day, it was my decision. As I've always said, I want to make sure that I put our student athletes first. I'm going to put our teams in a position to be able to compete for championships, and doing so while representing this institution in a first-class manner. I want to take everything in when I make those decisions. This is no different. I've done it, again, the same way over and over. The only difference with this now is that the landscape is changing in college athletics. And we want to make sure that we stay not just a part of the picture, but a true contributor in the future. I want to say thank you to President Stokes, the Board of Regents, for their support during this process. My job is to serve. I put a lot of energy, a lot of effort in everything that I do here. And I think everybody that knows me or has been around me understands my passion for this job. When I took it, I said I want to make sure that I keep putting ourselves in a position to compete at the highest level. Moving forward, I'm not going to get into too many details about the search, but I also want to be able to put it out there, as I always do. We're going to be swift. We're going to be thorough, and it begins with me. And you're going to ask, what are my characteristics? What am I looking for in a coach? As every search that I've done, every interview that I do for anybody that represents this institution, it starts off with high character, high integrity. Nothing changes. I'm going out there to look for a great coach. It's hard to find a better person than Danny, but I want to find somebody with a high character, high integrity. That's the first two things that are going to start with any conversation with anybody out there. So with that, I'll pause, open it up for questions.
Start right here with Will.
Ready to introduce myself? Or
No, you're good.
first the buyout, and then have a follow up to that. What is he owed?
He is what we've settled on is $350,000. It is $350, no mitigation, and so that is the agreement that we came up with yesterday.
Okay. At the time of his hire, it seemed like a home run. He's a local guy who understood UNM, the culture, what he was getting into. Does it surprise you at all that things didn't progress? Attendance continued to go down, and wins and losses were what they were.
You know, again, hindsight's 20/20. When you look at it and you start thinking about where you were, Danny was absolutely, and I still believe today, the right hire at the right time. Our program in every aspect, where it is today and where it was when he arrived here, is truly night and day. There's a lot of that goes into that. And as everyone that's been around for the last several years understands that, I mean, we embarked on COVID. We had a lot of challenges to start off. All that is part of the everybody's challenge when we're going through a change in the program, trying to improve it in every which way we can. But there's not a doubt in my mind that when I made a decision to make Danny our coach here, I believed in, and I still do today. He was the right person, and we're better today than we were, and that's all you can ask of somebody who's helping make every aspect of the program better.
More on the buyout. How is that buyout going to be paid? Is it going to be athletics or donors, or how's that going to play out?
It's private, through private side.
Private
Yes.
donations?
Yeah.
And then did you have a decision made prior to Friday's game or prior to Saturday, or how did that play out for you?
No, I think it's just, again, those who know me, I try to assess a program from start to finish. and as much as I can. I know there is times that you have to make a decision in the middle of the year for circumstances that are sometimes out of your control or things that need to be changed. I try to wait as much as I can to the end of the year. That's been my goal in assessing a program, assessing a coaching staff. I feel I owe it to them to do that. And again, it's assessing to understand where we are, where we've been, and where we're trying to go. So, no, that, again, you think about things throughout the year and you want to see how things progress and how they develop. And that's exactly what I did with this one.
The shortcomings with attendance over this long a period of time, what kind of an effect does that have on the budget for your department?
Yeah, it's critical. I'm not going to lie. And I think everybody here who's been a part of an understanding what the budget challenges are for a program of our size, every dollar counts. So for me, as I've said, it's the attendance is about, there's dollars involved in that equation. But the reality is what I want to see is people in there supporting our student athletes. More than anything else, I could, again, to have 15,000 people, that's good. I get it. Those are passionate Lobos. But we need to be able to have 25 to 30,000 in there on a regular basis that are supporting our student athletes, those kids, because that's why they came here to represent this institution. So the dollars are important, and sure, we don't like to see the fan base. There's a lot of things that play also into people showing up for games. Balloon Fiesta is a huge event here. So during that time, you got to take that into consideration and other things. So, but one thing is we have to have a consistent product, and we have to make sure that people come out and support our team and our student athletes, because that's what they're here for. The dollars and cents, that's all secondary for me, truly.
Does the attendance numbers concern you about the connection between the community and the football program? And I would imagine that's got to be a priority, along with the integrity and reputation and all the other things that go along with finding a new coach.
Yeah, look, you have to have a product. People want to come see a product that they want to support. And there's a lot of things in this program that were really great, but we have to win, and we have to be consistent about winning, and we have to be out there representing. Now we have to find ways to continue to connect to this community. Danny did an unbelievable job, and this is, again, it's not a shot or praise. He did a great job in the community. So we got to figure out what's the missing link there, because we know there's so many people cared for him and they supported this program. Why aren't they showing up? So we've got to find a way, and we got to continue to do our due diligence, and that's something my staff and I are going to be working on here between now and then. It doesn't matter who their coach is. The fact is we had somebody who gave more for this community than probably ever asked of him. And this community should have responded for him. And that's on a side note for those kids. But now we got to find a way. We got to get our fan bases. We have a passionate fan base, unbelievable one. What can we do to help them get to the stands and support our student athletes?
I know you said weren't going to go too into on the search, but can you just kind of give us a little bit on, is it open to anybody within the coaching staff already? And kind of some requirements. Are you looking for someone that's a full-on head coach, that has head coaching experience, assistant coach? Can you just kind of give us some of those requirements?
Yeah, I don't want to limit myself and say that I'm looking for a specific type, offense, defense, head coach, non-head coach, coordinators. I'm looking for the best that I can find. And I'm looking for somebody that meets some of the same characteristics that I've always looked for. We need somebody to connect to the community. That's important. That is an important part of being here at the University of New Mexico. So that will be a component of it. But as far as limiting myself, I don't want to create a box around us. We're gonna go out there to find the best of the best. There's some other jobs right now that are open that are going to attract some individuals that might be on our list. And there might be people that are on their list that right now we're not looking into it. So as we go through this process, I will tell you that it's going to be important for me to try to do the best we can. It might be my phone if you want to move it from down there. I have to put it down. Thought it was going to be yeah. Sorry about that.
Do you need to take it?
No, I don't. All it does is keep ringing. So hopefully that answered your question. Again, appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Are you going to be using an outside search firm to get anything going on this end?
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue to do what I've done in the past, is work with a search firm to help us coordinate the meetings and maybe the helping with the background checks. It's worked really well for us. As far as the full blown out search and how it's done, there's a lot of work that goes into it already between myself and some of my staff members in trying to gather names and everything else. So we will probably use a group. We're in the process right now of identifying that group perfectly. But more than anything else, probably similar to what we've done in the past.
And just kind of follow up. One of the issues here is that UNM obviously can't throw the same salary out that some of the other larger schools can.
Right.
How do you attract a coach in here with that limitation?
So we have limitations when it comes to budget, and I think that's part of our challenge. The reality is we have done a lot over the last, and I say again, the time that I've been here, the last 5.5 years, to invest in every program that we have, and football included. Now, are we at the level where we need to be in comparison to some others? No. But every year we're striving, we work really closely with our state, with our university, with donors to try to continue to increase that. We have unbelievable representatives. We have one here today that is passionate about supporting all college athletics and all student athletes. And so the more we can do to continue to elevate those areas, to put us in a better position, when it comes to competing against not just the Mountain West, but those across the country, we're going to continue to do so. But I right now, putting the salary where it needs to be is not a concern to me, because I know what we need to do and what it takes. We're going to figure it out. I'm not here to say that we're going to compete against schools that are in the Power Five, but we have to be competitive when we talk about salaries, and that's part of this equation. So I know that we can't limit ourselves. We have to be able to go out there and find the best person and figure out if we're able to make it happen or not.
Eddie, is it a clean house with the other coaches? And was there any other buyouts that were needed for any other of the coordinating positions?
So right now, every assistant coach is still on staff. That's part of, we had a meeting with them last night and had the opportunity to kind of just express to them, look, our intention is to sit down with each one of them individually over the next couple of days. We also have asked them to continue to do their job. We have student athletes that are still here. And so they're still going to be going to class, still going to be working out. So right now, more than ever, they're still helping this transition. If at some point one or two of them or all of them decide that there's better opportunities for them elsewhere, and a new coach that comes in maybe doesn't work out, then we'll cross that bridge. I want to say everyone but one is on a 1-year contract. So the only other one that's on a 2 years is Coach Vincent. And he and I have had some conversations. So again, he's going to try to stay around to see what happens until the next opportunity presents itself for him or here on our staff.
And how has the landscape changed with the transfer portal and attracting players and keeping them around in the last 4 seasons? How is that a part of the calculation for the next head coach moving forward?
Yeah.
And what do we got to do to, I mean, you said it yourself, it's about the product.
Yeah.
And to fill that stadium up, it's going to come down to winning. And what's the balance there of keeping kids here
Sure.
and attracting people that want to play here?
Well, we're still navigating a little bit of that. I would say that part of this is a new landscape for all of us. So we're seeing where some of our great student athletes are taking their talents even to better opportunities for them. As much as we'd love to see them stay here, we know that those changes are going to come. And likewise, we've been fortunate. We had a heck of a quarterback out there and a bunch of student athletes that came from other institutions. We see it on the basketball courts. We see it on tennis, golf, baseball, you name it. And so it's part of the changing landscape. We know that has to be a major part of the new coach being able to navigate that space. That's a challenging space. It's the NIL. It's the transfer portal. Can success happen quickly? Yeah, I mean it's possible, but there has to be a lot of things that have to fall in place to make that happen. And so you look at places like UNLV and others with the success they've had and just with the first year coach. That not to say that's going to happen here, but the possibilities exist. And for me, I've been around a lot of championship programs in my career. And it's one thing that I strive for when I came here is to make sure that we compete for championships in every sport. So we're going to go out there. We're going to find the best of the best. That's going to help us do that here. It's being realistic, though. I'm not asking for a team that's going to be able to compete at a national championship. That's different. That takes a whole bag of goodies in so many different ways. And the fact is, for us to get to where we need to be, we're not far away. Danny has done a great job leaving this program in a great place. Now it's time for us to be able to take that and take it to the next level.
Have you named an interim coach, or at least somebody that's going to be running the program in the interval?
No, it's basically by committee. I think right now, more than anything else, it's myself and Dave Williams will be kind of overseeing what we need to from a budget, an operational side. The coaches will help us with the aspect of the day-to-day and making sure kids are working out, going to class. We have academics, so it's by committee. So no, I'm not placing anyone on. I'm hoping to have this process done in 2 weeks, but I also know it might take 3, or it might take 2.5, or it might take 1. So I'm not going to limit myself, but I want to do it as swiftly as we can.
So I know you're not going to comment on potential candidates, but one that the Lobo football fan base will think of immediately is Coach Rocky Long. So there would be nothing that would preclude him, since you're doing a national search, from being a potential candidate, I assume.
No, listen, I got to be very careful on how I answer this question. There's some unbelievable Pop Warner coaches and Yaffle coaches, but there is a limit on when I say everyone is open to the opportunity. I'm looking for somebody that has the ability to get us to the next level. And Rocky has done it at a high level. If and when the time comes that we have an opportunity to have that conversation, if he does express that interest, absolutely we'll have it. But it also means, does he understand what it's going to take? It's a different era. You can coach old school, you can be old school, but can you navigate the new school and all that's happening with the transfers and everything else? So those are the conversations that I'll have if it comes up between Rocky and myself or whomever that might be in a similar situation. Look, one way or another, I'd love to have Rocky here, a part of this program, just because. He's meant so much to this program, even if it's an ambassador of some sort or somehow, some way. And I don't know what his coaching career is in front of him. I know he's trying to figure out. They had a great win last night, and he's hopefully, I think, going to be possibly playing in a bowl game. So he's knowing. All of us that know Rocky probably know that he's probably already grinding, watching video. And so, if and when the time comes and that conversation develops, then absolutely we'll have it. But I definitely don't want to I want to make sure everybody understands. I owe it to this university. I owe it to our community to make sure that we do everything. We do our due diligence. And as much as we all love him, I want to make sure that we pull up every rock we can and make sure we've done everything. And if at the end of the day, Rocky is the person, so be it. And if not, I want to make sure that everyone understands why. So I hope I kind of elaborate a little more, because he is somebody we truly, truly care for, and he's done unbelievable for this program.
I know you said you evaluated the tenure from start to finish. Did Danny's guarantee after the New Mexico State game play a role in this decision at all?
No, absolutely not. I think I even said it on your I'll give him a shout out here on Mr. Grammer's podcast. That's a coach makes comments, and that's on them. You know, I don't get into it. If I was a person that said, well, if he didn't do this, this is the last straw. No, look, Danny challenged himself and his team. And that was his way of doing it, and I respected that. That had no impact to me in my final decision. Mine was about, again, the totality of the program and everything, and again, trying to put everything in perspective moving forward.
And did you have expectations set in the preseason about what this season would look like for it to be a successful season with Danny? Were there conversations on that note?
So I have expectations for every team. And it doesn't matter if it's football, golf, tennis, basketball, you name it. I have an expectation. And it starts off with, I want to be able to compete for championships. Now, I also am realistic. We have new coach in some sports and understanding that they're going to have, let's take cross country as an example. You know, we have a brand new coach, and he went from one extreme to a whole nother. I mean, our men's team is competing for a national championship. Our women didn't, because we had a exodus of a bunch of unbelievable talented student athletes. They left. They went to other programs. So you got to adjust your thoughts. As much as I still want to see them compete for championships, and football is no different. Look, I believe we can compete in this league. I've said it before. We should be competing for a championship. If you do everything and you get after it every day, you should have a chance to be able to win more games than you're losing. I'm not about being average in any sport. And so for me, I wasn't sitting down with Danny and saying, hey, we need to win 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 games. It's my expectations. We're going to go in every game and try to have a chance to win. Knowing some are harder than others. But that's a conversation that, you know, we always had every year. So it was no different. It was more so, again, trying to make sure that I looked at every aspect of it.
You know, everyone had challenges during the COVID year, but I think you could make the exception for the 2 New Mexico schools. It was pretty unique. The fact that this team had to go on the road for 7 weeks without the creature comforts of home, given that, plus the NIL didn't exist when he first took over, the transfer portal didn't exist when he took over. Was there any thought of maybe just extending him into that 5th year, just to give him a mulligan?
As I started off, yesterday was a very difficult day. It wasn't something that I wanted to have that conversation with Danny, because when I hired him, I believed that we were going to be in a different spot. I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, it is part of the equation. It is part of it, because what he did and what those student athletes and those coaches did for 43 straight days and living in Vegas is unlike anywhere else in the country. Nobody else experienced that. But I also know that we finished up with 2 strong wins at the end of that year. And so there's progress. You take it as much as you can, and have to, again, continue to evaluate where the whole program is and where you need to be as a program.
I want to ask you about the timing of this, because obviously this is the time where schools everywhere, just today, at least 3 schools have let their coaches go. Is this, in a sense, where you're just trying to put your name out there just to avoid the Christmas rush and try to get some of the best candidates out in here as quickly as possible?
No, I think you see so many different ways. I mean, there's some schools that came out of the gates because coaches retired, or they made changes because they felt it was in the best interest of the program, and I get it. For us, yesterday's conversation was something we finished the day before. It just so happened to be that Danny and I were sitting down to have that conversation. If we would have played yesterday, it probably would have been a conversation we would have had today. So the fact is, it just worked in whatever way you want to look at it, that we had one more day than everybody else today. It's a tough job. It's a tough business that we work in. And as coaches, going through the things they have to go through and understand this is that time of year where those changes are happening, and we have to make sure that we put our best foot forward right now, though, because there's going to be some other jobs that are going to open up out there, probably just as intriguing or as interesting as ours. I believe very much in the product that we have and the ability that we have here, but it's now for us to find the right person for us. There's some great coaches out there that have been released of their duties, but the fact is, doesn't mean they fit here. So,
Eddie, what do you say to the fans that really liked what Danny did in the community? He had made his voice heard in the Roundhouse. Yeah. He did some advocacy things. People really liked his integrity, I think. What do you say to those fans that would have liked to see him finish his contract here?
There's not much I can't say. You know, all I can say is have patience and trust that the process that we're going to be going forward with is going to be in the best for this program. I'm not here to try to compare anything to Danny. What Danny did was great, and it was great for our program. And he did it because he loves this place. He loves this institution. He loves this is home. And those individuals that loved Danny and still do should, because we are where we are today because of him. The program he took over was not anywhere close to what it is today. And so I am proud of it. They should be proud of it and understand that, unfortunately, this is a decision that I've made. It's nothing against Danny. As I said from the beginning, I care for the guy immensely. And it was a very hard day for me to have to tell him what I said I had to tell him yesterday. There's not much I can say. It is going to be what it is, and understand, just trust the process. And my focus is to put this program in the place where I hope they'll be proud of it as well.
Anybody else? Let's go Ryan, then we'll finish with Sean.
I know that this rivalry is not like Michigan, Ohio State, or the Iron Bowl, but does 2 losses to New Mexico State by double digits in back-to-back years, and what Jerry Kill has accomplished at New Mexico State this year, and not only this year but last year, was that a factor? Was that a part of the equation?
I first of all, I commend Coach Kill and the season they're having. Great job. It's not easy to be able to get that many wins in this level, and so commend him and his staff and what they're doing. Is it part of the equation? Everything's part of the equation. Is it a major factor? No. Look, man, at the end of the day, I want them to beat everybody. I want them to it's not about hatred here. It's not about with our rivals down south. It is, we're here to compete in a game. That's what we do. We compete in contests and games, and we want to win, and we want to do it for our institution. And I wanted to be on the right side of that for us, but sometimes it doesn't go your way. You got to give them kudos for finding a way to win. And for me, is it part of the equation? It's in there. I think it's in there, but it's not going to be the deciding factor, because I know there's so much, again, that goes into every game. So, but sure, it's just like every rival. I want to beat them in every sport. And just like they'll tell you the same, they want to beat us. So, but that's all it is. This isn't about anything more than that. Remember those, and I want our fans to always understand that this is about that's a contest, and it should be a healthy rivalry. And that's one of the things that we've been striving for, and I know they're striving as well. And so we're going to continue to do that. And but yeah, as far as the whole equation, I would say that it was just part of it.
I think you touched on it a little bit, but I mean, how was the team specifically notified, and what did that process look like?
Yeah, so we veered a little bit differently yesterday. In the conversation with Danny, he asked if we can push this back. We had a coach that his son was playing in the state high school championships, so we wanted to give him an opportunity to have that go through and then meet with the coaches after. Our student athletes, because they're already planning on meeting on Monday morning, because of the last couple of days they were off, to get them here wasn't perfect to get them in the morning. So we pushed it back. So we didn't meet with them till about 6 p.m. last night. That's when the release came out. And that was all done strategically for that purpose. I wanted them to hear it from Danny and myself. When I met with the coaches, it was Danny and myself in there. He had an opportunity to speak to the coaches first, and he had the same opportunity to meet with the student athletes. That's unusual. Many other times those coaches aren't there to have those conversations. But it goes back to how much he cares about this program, and he cares about those kids. We all owe it to Danny to be able to have that opportunity, and it went well. We had as good as it can. It's a tough situation, but those young men are resilient. They know that this is right now their number one focus is academics. They have to finish up strong for them to have an opportunity to do whatever they choose to do when the time comes.
All right, last chance, guys.
That's fine. Yeah, please. That's why. Don't worry.
All right, Ryan.
I got one more. You mentioned the
Wait for the microphone. Just for the stream. Thanks.
You mentioned the high school state championship game.
Sure.
I'm thinking about the recruiting that Danny did, and
Yeah.
his emphasis on local guys too. What happens with some of those conversations and those guys that were thinking about coming here or planning on coming here?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody right now that's signed officially, but that's why we have to get out there and find somebody and get them in here quick, because they're going to have to implement their vision. Having an impact in our state is going to be important, but some coaches might feel one state might be better than another in recruiting. And so those are the conversations we'll have. But we need to get somebody in here quickly. There's a lot of things happening, but if we do it and do it right, I feel like they'll have the ability to be able to get everything that they need to, hopefully before the transfer portal. And again, remember, you're going to see kids go in the transfer portal. It happens. It's okay. It's part of the process. Those kids will have an opportunity possibly to come back. So we'll wait till the new coach gets here. Let them implement their recruiting focus, their strategy, their vision, and we'll go from there. I appreciate everybody really taking the time on a Sunday. Apologies to those that I took you away from something else, and football, I'm assuming, is something with pro sports. But honestly, thank you all for being here.